Alright guys, we've got a 2015 Ram 1500. This got the V8 5.7 liter engine. Radiator's leaking. So we're going to put a radiator in this, and the first step is to get this off. And as you can see, it is raining. So this ought to be fun. Anyway, this comes, this little shroud, I guess, comes off with these little plastic, what I call Christmas trees. You just get a tool up underneath there and pop them out. So let's get that done. I'm trying to save them. I've got a kit where I've got new ones, but it's always good if you can save the originals. Alright guys, we're underneath the truck. And we're going to have to get this lower shroud off and the lower fan shroud. Now, I'm just going to pop as minimal of these retainers out as I can. And let this hang. That might be all I need to take out. I'm just going to let it hang just like that. Now this lower shroud, these little clips, you can see these little clips right here. That's what keeps this clipped in. And then it swivels and then pops out of here. I'm going to have both hands proper. See how that pops out? We're almost there. There we go. So now the radiator will be able to be pulled straight up. Alright guys, so I think I'm going to get this hose off here. That'll be the first thing that we're going to want to do. I'm just going to kind of shove it up underneath the cowl. Keep it out of my way. Alright guys, so this vehicle has a mechanical fan and an electric fan. This is the connector for the electric fan. It's affixed to the shroud. Now, you're going to have to disconnect that. But you can't get this shroud out on vehicles that have an electric fan. Not all these Rams have an electric fan and a mechanical fan. But you do have to disconnect it. So it's best to leave these bolts in if you have a mechanical fan, if you have this connector, and the fan and shroud and everything will just pull out together. So now that I've got this off, there's a bolt right here that I'm going to have to take out. I'm going to go ahead and take these two 10mm out here and get this bracket out of the way. This is the condenser. It's not going to come out, but it uses part of the radiator bracket to secure itself. And there's a couple of those brackets over here, as you can see down in here. There's a couple down there, a couple down here. Now over here you've got the mounting bolt for the radiator right here. Obviously we've got the lower radiator hose, and once I get over here to this side I'll show you disconnecting all that. And then once we get all this disconnected, we'll be able to pull this radiator straight up and out. So let me get to that point. Alright guys, we're going to disconnect this bottom radiator hose. I do have the pan underneath the underneath this hose, so hopefully you caught some of that. I know I was hitting on the camera. Now it's just a matter of getting the mounting bolts out and the bracket bolts for the condenser. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the radiator bracket right here. That's going to allow me to push the radiator forward, or aft rather, and have more room to work. Do the other side. Now I can get on this one, I think, with my ratchet. Again, that's 12 millimeter. Alright, now that the radiator's broke free from the support, you can go after these 12 millimeter bolts. And these should free the condenser away from the radiator. Got that one. On the other side, I'm just going to take the two 10 millimeters out. That way I don't have to fight with trying to move the radiator this way to get it uncoupled from that bracket. And down here, it looks like you're going to be wrenching this one off. This bracket right here, you're going to have to get a, what I say it was? 13 millimeter, and wrench it off. I'm just going to use one of these. Okay, now that both the bottom brackets are undone, there's a, what is that? Is that 12? No, that's a 10. There's a 10 millimeter right here that you probably can't see. Right there. That's going to need to be taken out. Actually looks like I can get a deep oil 10 millimeter on it, so that's what I'm going to do. Hopefully you can see that 10 millimeter right there on that bracket. So let's get that off real quick. I say real quick. Nothing seems to be going real quick on this. I love working in rain and water. This adds so much more to the excitement. Okay, now we're over here. Now, you may as well just take these two 10 millimeters out. That way you don't have to fight pushing the radiator over. I mean, they're just right there in the wide open. So let me get those out, and I'm going to set the camera up in a position to where you can see me pull this thing out of here. So I'm just going to go ahead and take these out. And you don't have to take this bracket off. You can leave it on. But to me, it's right there in the open. Get it out of your way, that way you're not fighting with it. And there it is. Probably not the best design in my opinion. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bungee and I'm going to bungee this up against the radiator support. That way it's out of my way when I drop the new one down in here. And just so you know what the little bit of fighting that I had to do, let me get the camera dismounted here. There's one bracket down below. See that bracket? You got to slide that out of the radiator. So that's why the radiator was going to the driver's side and I was trying to pull the condenser to the passenger side. So let me get a little bungee, let me get this secured. We're going to transfer the shroud and the electric fan over to the new radiator and then drop it down in there. Okay guys, so the shroud is held on with these two 13 millimeters and then it just lifted right up out of there. It's just the bottom is held in with those little tabs there. Now the electric fan is just locked in with these little spring-loaded clips there, but you do have a clip up top and a clip down below that you've got to snap off there. So I'm going to have both hands to get these off. I'm going to snap both these clips off, top and bottom, and then I'm going to lift this fan off this radiator, transfer it over to that radiator. Okay, very easy process. Got the two clips on top and bottom and snap the new radiator down into their receptacles. So now this fan is good to go. Now we've got to get this shroud on. And the shroud, it also goes down into the same lower receptacles and then it's held on with these two bolts right there. So again, this is a two-hand job. So let me get this shroud on here and then we'll be ready to go back in with the new radiator. Okay, literally 60 seconds later, the shroud's on. We're ready to go back in with the new radiator. It's always a good idea to make sure that any electric fans that bolt up like that, make sure it spins free. The last thing you want is for it to be touching the radiator whenever it kicks on, and then it cuts a hole through the radiator. So I'm going to mount the camera. I've got this condenser bungeed up out of the way with some 20-year-old Harbor Freight bungee that has 100% lost any kind of elasticity whatsoever, but beside the point. So let me get the camera set up, and we're going to start dropping it down in here. Alright, here we go. This would definitely probably be easier with 2 people, but stabbing that lower little foot down there on the radiator itself. There it is. Alright, she's laying in there. Oh, there's 2 things I forgot to transfer over. Let me show you. You're also going to need these rubber bushings right here. They're going to slide in right here. So I need to get those off that old radiator. But we're all in, ready to be bolted up. Basically, it's going to be reverse order. Don't know how much more you are going to really care to see, but once everything's bolted up, then it should be good to go. Anyway, I might turn the camera back on and show anything that I had issues with, but it looks like it's going to be pretty straightforward. Don't forget to plug your fan in. The fan's probably just for the condenser. Probably when you turn your AC on, that's the electric fan that comes on, because you got a mechanical fan also. But anyway, let me get these rubber bushings swapped over, and then I'm going to start buttoning this thing up. And like I said, I'm probably not going to worry too much about recording the rest of it, because if you've seen it come apart, then you should remember how it goes back together. Alright guys, don't forget to put these in. These little rubber bushings come out. These little rubber bushings pull off. Alright guys, everything's back together. Don't forget to plug your fan plug in. Tighten all your brackets up. Don't forget to take your rubber bushings out of the lower and the top here. I forgot the bottom, so I had to lift the radiator up and fish the bottom ones in there. Get all your AC lines hooked up here, bolted back. You don't have to disconnect the AC lines, you just got to make sure you get them all bolted back up and in the bracket. Put your overflow tube on. Put your lower shroud, snap it back into place, and then the lower closeout shroud with the Christmas trees. Push those back in. Get your radiator hoses back on and clamped. Get the top one snapped back down into the retainer there. See what else. Don't forget to get you at least a gallon of coolant, because you're going to need at least a gallon of. Don't get the 50-50 mix unless you just don't have access to water. I would get the concentrate. You get more for your money. Now if you want to put distilled water in, which is recommended, go ahead and buy a couple gallons of distilled water along with your 100% concentrate coolant. The only thing I haven't done is the closeout shroud right here. I'm going to wait on it until I get it all started up. A good time to start cleaning all your tools and stuff up is after you've started it and it's warming up. Go ahead and start putting all your tools up and stuff, and that way you're making the max use of your time. Anyway, we're done. If there's any hiccups, I'll turn the camera on and let you know, but you know, the main thing you're going to want to do is start the engine up, let it warm completely up to normal operating temperature. Make sure you're topped off with your coolant, and make sure that you're not going into an overheat condition. Some vehicles can get an air pocket and the water pump can cavitate and not actually be circulating any water. I don't think this particular vehicle has that issue, but that is an issue on some year makes and models, so keep that in mind. Anyway, I'm going to start this thing up, start cleaning up, and we're done. You guys take care. This was a what was it, 2015 Ram 1500 5.7 liter engine, and this radiator, even though it's an aftermarket radiator, everything bolted right up perfect. Sometimes you get these radiators and they're not 100% per spec, and you've got to fight with them pretty hard to get them to work. But this one dropped right in. Everything bolted up. The fan, the shroud, everything was lined up great. So they did a really good job on this radiator. Anyway, we're done. You guys take care.